it's your bear here, and I'm talking about the best games of 2022, at least in my opinion. This year has been a great year for gaming. We saw the release of brand new IPs in which amazing worlds were brought to life in Elden Ring, Stray, and Ghostwire Tokyo. Additionally, we got the long-awaited sequels to popular franchises like God of War, Horizon, and even Bayonetta. There were even a number of notable ports, remasters, and re-releases like Persona 5 Royal and Crisis Core Reunion. But of everything that came out this year, what was the best of the best? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. It's always up for debate, but for me, these were my top 3 games of 2022. Honorable mention, No Man's Sky. Before I get into it, I gotta put this one on the list. No Man's Sky just keeps giving and giving. It's an entirely different game than the version that came out 6+ years ago. The updates released this year make for a brand new experience for players. I have so much respect for Hello Games and what they've done with this title, and I really can't wait to see what's in store for players next. It should be fairly obvious that I'm a big fan of No Man's Sky. The game just keeps evolving, and every few months they release new updates with new content, but the last few updates have just kind of really changed the whole experience. Number 3, A Plague Tale Requiem. Despite being snubbed by the Video Game Awards this year, I personally thought Plague Tale Requiem was an amazing game. It packed in a lot with an amazing score, stellar performances by the cast, and a compelling narrative-driven plot that kept me hooked all the way to the end. On top of that, the game delivered a stunning world, which would make several other recent AAA games with much bigger budgets extremely jealous, in my opinion. Being completely transparent, I had never actually played the original game. People had said nothing but good things about the first Plague Tale game to me, and so I went into the sequel totally blind. And I'm very glad I did, because I absolutely loved it. I was so inspired by this game that I went back and played the original afterward. The original is also really good, but Requiem improved on the original in a number of ways. The game's stealth was much more finely tuned, and the gameplay variety was just more enjoyable for me. I also didn't hate the hints of a sequel kind of set in a modern era. I think that'd be really interesting for the future of the series. Number 2, Horizon Forbidden West. For whatever reason, this was another game that didn't get as much recognition at the Game Awards as I would have expected. I was a big fan of the first Horizon game. To be honest, they had me hooked at robot dinosaurs. The first game was a lot of fun, but Forbidden West was just a spectacle. The game delivered on every aspect of the original and then some. Much of the more frustrating storytelling techniques from Zero Dawn were replaced with better pacing, less repetition, and more variety. The developers took time to really improve the gameplay mechanics in the second game and make Aloy a much more rounded character. I will admit that the final act of the story did feel a little forced, but the content on display in the rest of the game's world was truly amazing. This is one of the most effortless games that I've ever platinumed to date. It was a joy from start to finish, seriously. My only real complaint I have is with the grinding required for some of the higher level gear, but that's such a minor issue in the grand scheme of this game. Forbidden West was just an amazing game for me. Number 1, God of War Ragnarok. I've been meaning to make a video on this game for the past month, but haven't had a chance to. That said, I liked this game a lot. Ragnarok is so much bigger than its predecessor, and the fight mechanics are even sharper than before. Personally, I prefer the story from the 2018 God of War over this one, but that said, the story in this one is still such an emotional epic. All in all, Ragnarok was an absolute blast to play. I mean, just the banter between Kratos and Atreus alone makes this a contender for Game of the Year, but that fight against Thor, oh man, that's exactly when it dawned on me that this game was something special. I love the new direction for the God of War franchise. I am so much more invested in these new stories than I was the original series, and the gameplay is just so good. So there you have it. 2022 boiled down into a quick little listicle. But really, I mean, there were a ton of other great games this year, and I didn't get the chance to talk about them on this list. So tell me in the comments below what you think of my picks and what was your favorite game of the year. And as always, thanks for watching.